You are now tuned in to episode 44 of the Midwest Angler Podcast. I'm Scott Sturman, and I'm joined as always by Matt Deitch. Matt, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Excellent.
Awesome. We're getting a little bit nicer weekend this weekend than last week.
Yeah, definitely. And what was it? Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, yesterday. That was a beautiful day.
Yeah, it got up to about 70 degrees and
Oofda.
went out there and chased a few pheasants and sweated pretty good. The dog and I were both kind of tired after a few walks. We're both out of shape.
Yep, me and Eric and Tanner Vogel, we got out and chased after some ducks yesterday. It was not anything spectacular, but we did get a few, and the geese didn't want to play, so it was strictly a duck hunt. But yeah,
Now we got a little bit of a front coming in, and looks like we're getting some cooler temps, which means ice season is pretty close.
You've been looking forward to this.
I kind of have, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
I've really been looking forward to it since like April of last year.
Since the ice
Or
went
since
off.
April of this year, yeah.
Since our last trip on East Okoboji last year, you've been looking forward to this year.
Absolutely. I can't wait. But, I got to say, with all the bass fishing that we did this year, and I was actually thinking about it yesterday, I really did enjoy this open water season.
This was an awesome
a fun
open
one.
water season.
Yeah, we finished up our last club tournament of the year last weekend, and we'll touch on that later in the episode. But like
Right.
Matt said, ice season's right around the corner, which means ice fishing expos are coming up. And we've got the man behind the Ice Institute up in Sioux Falls, Mr. Todd Heitkamp of Dakota Angler Bait Shop up there. And we've got him on the show today. I'm really looking forward to hearing about the Ice Institute, hearing how it's grown.
Right. We get the pleasure of just going up there and enjoying the these ice shows or even open water shows, and we really don't know the planning and everything that goes into it. So it's going to be interesting to hear like the planning leading up to the event and like the day of the days, since it's multiple days of the event, what all takes place.
Oh yeah. That's not something that you just open the doors and like, hey, come on in, guys. Like, I mean, that
somebody will take care of you.
right?
Yeah.
No, that's not how a successful ice expo goes down. But yeah, we'll get right over to him. All right, we are here today with Todd Heitkamp, owner of the Dakota Angler Bait Shop in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the man behind the Ice Institute up in Sioux Falls. Todd, how you doing?
Doing fine. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. It's good to get to talk to you today.
Now, tell us a little bit, Todd. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in southwest Minnesota, a small town called Adrian. It has a town population of maybe, right around 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people, somewhere thereabouts. But grew up there, born and raised there, and grew up fishing all my life as well.
Matt's actually from Ellsworth.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. With a name like Deitch, I can definitely tell you that narrows it down.
Yeah, that's for sure.
No. So, how did you end up over in Sioux Falls?
Well, a long story. I guess I went to, after graduating high school, I went to college at the University of Wisconsin at Madison and got my degree in meteorology, which is weather, and started my first job with the National Weather Service in Waterloo, Iowa. And my wife and I, my wife is Roxanne, and her maiden name is Wagner, so she grew up in Ellsworth too, Matt.
Yeah.
So don't hold that against me. But at that time, after 3 years in Waterloo, Iowa, we moved to Denver, Colorado, and stayed there for 4.5 years. And then the job came open here at the National Weather Service in Sioux Falls, and I applied for it and got it, and moved here April Fool's Day, 1994.
Very cool. What are some of the daily deals that you do with being a meteorologist?
Well, my job duties have changed through the years. I mean, years ago when I started out, I was always just a forecaster. I don't want to say just. I mean, I was working rotating shifts and writing forecasts every day and issuing warnings. But then when I moved to Sioux Falls here, I became what was known as the warning coordination meteorologist, and I would go out and do weather talks for schools and train people to be spotters for their communities. And then about 18 months ago, or just shy of 2 years ago, I became the meteorologist in charge, or the chief person of the office.
Cool.
Very cool. Now, with being a meteorologist, how did you decide that, hey, I'm going to start a bait shop?
A moment of insanity. If anyone says, open up a business that you'd love to do, you might want to rethink that because, like I said, I was born and raised, and fished all my life. I raised my two boys in the area of fishing as well, and my daughter. We would go out fishing almost every weekend. And then 2001, I decided to open up a bait shop with my friend at that time. That he said, well, how about if we go into business together? And I said, well, that's fine, but I'm going to be more of a silent partner because I got a full-time job already. And so on about May 1st of 2001, we opened Dakota Angler, and here we are, 18 years later.
Now, you go to work every day and are a meteorologist, then you go to the bait shop after that and close her down, or?
Yeah, exactly. That's my day for the past 17, 18 years, quite honestly, because I've since bought out my partner about 10 years ago now, and so it's just myself, and so I'll work the weather service from 7 to 3, and then come over here and work from 3 to close, and then go home and get a little bite to eat, and then go to bed and do the whole thing all over again.
Yeah, so that really doesn't leave you a whole lot of time to get out there and do much fishing.
No, and that's why I said, be careful, when you say, open up a business that you love to do, because I love to fish, but I don't get as much time to do it anymore because, honestly, people always say that owning a business is the easiest thing you'll ever do. Whoever said that should be shot because it's not the easiest thing. There's a lot of time and commitment, and if you want to do it right, there's a lot of time involved in it. So, yeah, it has taken a lot of time away from fishing, but still at the same time, it's been a great opportunity to raise my family into a family-owned business and in the fishing business.
Well, now, what are some of the biggest challenges you've seen or come across as far as having a bait shop?
Well, number one, my other job, weather. Weather is a huge factor that will play a role on how successful this business can be. If you have, let's say, a terrible winter where guys can't get out and ice fish, guess what? You're going to be selling that stuff really cheap, that ice fishing equipment really cheap, or you're just going to cut back considerably. And it's the same thing like in the spring and the summer. If you have a terrible spring where it's raining, or even like last year where we had a lot of blizzards in the month of April, that's going to definitely impact business, as well as the neighboring economies, such as the agricultural community. If the farmers are having a bad year, guess what? It all trickles down to us as well. So those are some of the factors that obviously we can't control. Some of the other things, some of the other challenges, I would say competition from big box stores. I think, the mom and pop shops that we all grew up with in the fishing business or any other business are really starting to decrease through time. And that's mainly because of corporate America and the bigger box stores. But you have to continue to reinvent yourself to make sure your store is relevant as much as possible.
Now, you mentioned the big box stores there. Now, I don't know this to be a fact, but I got to think you've got to be the biggest locally owned bait shop possibly in the state of South Dakota, don't you?
Pretty close to it, I think. I don't know for sure, but I would think that we would be pretty close to that. We're probably one of the bigger ones in the tri-state area as well. But again, I don't sit back on my laurels and say, we don't have to do anything different this year. We're constantly doing something different. And the main thing with the big box stores is that people think that they're getting a better selection or a bigger selection or cheaper prices. And honestly, I never have a problem with beating any of their prices or having probably more of a selection, because those bigger box stores are now selling more of their own products, their own name brand versus the traditional fishing brands.
Yeah, definitely. Is that one of the reasons why you guys think that you've had success, that you're not biased towards any brand, or what do you think the reasons are that you've had success?
Boy, I wish I had that answer to that question, guys. I think one of the things is that we also strive ourselves on service, knowing who our customers are. That goes a long ways. I think still a lot of people still like to come into the store and find out where the fish are biting or what they're using. And the whole thing is, guess what? We use everything we sell. We're not, I don't hire a bunch of people that don't ever fish and have no idea what a fishing rod is or the difference between the fishing reels. My employees use everything that we sell, and they know how to explain it to a customer and how to make sure that they're successful the next time they use it as well.
Absolutely. Now, going into ice season, what product have you seen that has the biggest buzz going into ice season? What are the customers coming in and asking for?
Well, I think there's two things right now. Besides the normal fishing lures that are new or quasi new, I mean, there's really never anything totally new in the fishing lure business. It's always new companies or different companies reinventing something else or putting a different paint finish on it. But for the ice season, there's two things probably that have people talking, and that's the first one is the new clam shacks with the side doors now, the big open side doors. I think a lot of people have been looking forward to that, even though Otter's been having them out for a year now, and Fravel had it out 2 or 3 years ago, but now it's gotten even a little bit better. And I think the other thing is the StrikeMaster Light Flight, which is an auger, lighter auger that you can attach to your drill, but not only to your cordless handheld drill. You can also attach it to any StrikeMaster power head. So if you have a gas StrikeMaster power head, you could also attach that Light Flight to it, and thereby making your overall auger, lighter in weight. But I think the other side of that is that for the first time ever, StrikeMaster has stopped making gas augers.
Wow.
So I never thought we would come to that point, but there, with the onset of a lot of newer electric augers and more reliable electric augers, and then also the Light Flights and the ions and everything like that, and the K-drill, that has definitely revolutionized the auger market.
Now, just since you said that, I kind of thought about it. What's the ratio of electric augers to gas augers that you're selling now?
Oh, by far. Let's say if out of 10 augers that we sell, I would say probably 7 or 8 of them are, probably even 8 or 9 are electric versus gas.
Wow.
Because the only ones that are selling gas augers now or have them on the market are Jiffy and Eskimo, and that's it.
Right, and I mean, nobody wants to mess around with the mixing ratio of the fuel and have to deal with all the gas and everything like that anymore, I suppose.
No, it wasn't too long ago that StrikeMaster had a 4-cycle motor out, with an auger, so you didn't have to mix the gasoline. But even that has gone to the wayside because a lot of people just don't like messing with the fuel. Even though you probably won't find a more reliable auger as far as starting in the cold, and probably very little maintenance to it than what you will with a gas auger. But a lot of people just like the cleanliness of the electric augers and just the ease of starting it up.
Absolutely. Now, as we approach the end of October, you have a huge event coming up here at the beginning of November, the Ice Institute. Tell us about that Ice Institute. When did you decide to start that, and where did you start it?
Well, if I didn't have enough things to do, as we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
I decided let's start up a show, an ice fishing show, and educate people on how they can use the products that they buy. Because all the time people come in wanting to buy the latest electronics or augers or jigs or whatever it may be. So let's put together an educational seminar, a full day of seminars on how people can use the equipment that they buy. And that was done 11 years ago in a building right next to the store that I was at, right down the road from where I'm at currently. And we had a whopping about 50 to 60 people show up. And I can honestly remember my wife, Roxanne, had made all the food for it. And afterwards, after the event, the 2-day event, I looked at her and she looked at me. She said, "Do we want to do this again next year?" And I said, "Good question," because it was a lot of work for little dividends and little results. And thankfully we decided we'll do it one more year, and we had more people that show up, and then we moved it to I can't remember. It's a town hall type of thing up in Colton, and so we went to there for 2 years, and then after that we went to Central Church, my church on the south side of Sioux Falls, and had a gym there. And then 3 years ago we moved it to the Sioux Falls Arena, and the only reason why it's been moved each year is the good Lord has blessed us each year in more and more people attending, and so we've outgrown the facilities each time we've moved, and now we're at the 11th annual, which is November 8th through the 10th. And it's at the Sioux Falls Arena. And last year we had roughly about 6,500 people through the door. And so it's a vast difference from the 50 to the 6,500. And now we are the second largest ice fishing show in the nation.
Really?
That's awesome.
That is very cool.
Yeah, it is. It is really cool to see, how the Lord has blessed it and how the people have blessed it too, that by attending. Because again, I'm trying to give, people something that they want. And I'm the first one, the only one across the entire nation that is doing a show that is not a promoter. You know, most of the shows like the
Right,
St.
yeah.
Paul Ice Show or anyone else, it's being done by a promoter, not by someone that actually sells the stuff. And so what we're doing is bringing, all our inventory over to the arena, plus bringing in over 70 other vendors to show the latest and greatest in ice fishing. And we continue to reinvent it every year based upon the feedback that we get from people. Because, again, it's their show. Yes, I'm putting it on, but without their attendance, without their information, their feedback, the show would cease to exist.
Now, in those 11 years that you've been putting this on, do you think, like, ice fishing has really grown in popularity in part due to these shows that are starting to come about now?
I think so, a little bit, man. I think the other side of it would be, how ice fishing has really changed through the years, that it's gotten to be more comfortable out there. I think a lot of people, when they think ice fishing, they think of grumpy old men.
Oh, yeah.
Or they sit there and they think about sitting, being cold and sitting on a 5-gallon bucket waiting for the fish to bite. People can fish in comfort nowadays, probably almost in more comfort than what they can in the summertime. So again, I think with that in mind, plus also the fact that our winters get so long around here that if you don't ice fish, you don't ski, you don't do anything like that, it's going to be a long period of time for you sitting in the house. And so I think a lot more people, a lot more families are getting involved in ice fishing.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned already that you've assembled the top brands, the best exhibitors at this show, but you've also assembled some of the top pros in the industry to come and do these seminars. Who do you got coming this year?
Well, I appreciate that, Scott, because honestly, it is a top-notch lineup of speakers that you're not going to find anyplace else. You go to St. Paul, you go anyplace else, you're not going to find these seminars like this by speakers like we have for free. And so we have Dave Gens, who is the godfather of ice fishing from Clam Outdoors. We also have Brian Brosdahl, who's been with Fravel and Northland, Aquaview. Brad Hawthorne, who's with Ice Force, and those would be the top three. But also we have Troy Peterson, Mr. Bluegill from Eskimo, also Jason Durham from Clam. Then we also have a couple of local people too, Cody Roswick, who's out of North Dakota with Northland, and then also Dennis Kasubi from Clam, and then Craig Euler and Chantel Wickstruck, South Dakota's two of our own. From Clam Corporation, that they started doing seminars for us last year. It's been so popular, we've asked them to come back. And sooner or later, we just got to get Matt up here and have him do one too.
I don't know about that.
Well, we could
if you got Euler, then I suppose I could.
Yeah, we could replace Craig.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, do you get to enjoy this at all, or are you just flying around this arena, trying to make sure everything's going right? I mean, do you get to sit back and enjoy this?
Oh, heck no. The only time I get to enjoy it is probably maybe for a week afterwards. And then after that, then I'm already preparing for the next year's. And honestly, it has evolved into a third full-time job. It has been huge, to say the least. And when the day of the event is going on, I'm just running all over the place, making sure that people are getting their needs met. We're looking at finding what they're looking for, something that I want to make sure that they find. So yeah, I'm trying to take care of the customers at the show just like I try to take care of them here at the store.
Right. Yeah. Now, don't answer this question with it being over, but what are you most looking forward to for the Ice Institute?
I think, honestly, when I see people smiling and finding a value, that's the whole thing, is that, again, you're going to find a lot of people that are just going there for the great deals, which is fantastic. I mean, that's part of the whole concept as well. But if they're looking at the seminars, sitting in on seminars and finding the seminars of use, and also, again, finding the good deals, that's what I look forward to the most. And not looking forward to it being over, because you look forward to doing it for all that period of time that it goes by so quickly.
Yeah, when we were there last year, it was a great show. I think one of the cool things is how family friendly it is, and all the families walking around enjoying all the different things, whether they're going and seeing the nice sleeper shacks or they're looking at the portable shacks and stuff like that. But it's just a great family show.
Well, and that's what we try to do, is that it's not just for the father or the dad or the guy. It's for the mother, the wife, the girlfriend, sons, daughters, grandkids, you name it. because it is becoming a family sport, like you mentioned. And so we want to make sure the entire family enjoys it. And this year we even have something different and with that in mind, that we have a bunch of beanbag toss games, cornhole games that people can take their kids up or even themselves and try to win prizes. So again, just a little bit of a break from the routine of the show and giving people something that they've been looking forward to.
Absolutely. Well, we really appreciate you going through all the work to put this show on, and we appreciate you stopping in today and chatting with us. Before we let you go, do you have any social media plugs or a website? If people want to get some more information on this, where can they stop in and check it out?
Yeah, you can always stop here at the store at Dakota Angler, 1120 East Benson Road in Sioux Falls. But on social media, where I have a Facebook account, Dakota Angler, that's where you're going to find my weekly 2-minute fishing report that sometimes I take a little heat over, but it's something that a lot of people have enjoyed through the years. And then also we have a Twitter account, Dakota Angler, and we also have an Instagram account as well. So there's a whole bunch of social media if it's social media, we're on it. And again, there's my 4th full-time job. So there's always ways to find out information. And as I mentioned, if you're interested in the Dakota Angler Ice Institute, again, which is November 8th through the 10th, it's $5 to get in the door. Or for this year, we have something new, weekend pass for $12. So it saves you a little bit of money that way. But again, come on out. And if you have any questions, you can always give us a call at 605-336-9132.
Perfect. Well, we really appreciate it, Todd. That was a fun interview. I'm hoping that the people, like you said, it's the second biggest one in the nation. So, people from not far up in Minnesota or wherever, you're going to be drawing people from all over.
Well, we hope so, and we hope that it's just more than the tri-state area. And honestly, when you come up and you see me running around like my head's been cut off, stop me and say, tell me how much you appreciate the show. I would greatly be happy to chat with you a little bit.
Well, we really appreciate you putting on that show and going through all the hard work to get us through this transition period from open water to ice season. Everybody just is getting that itch to get out there on the ice, and these shows really help get it here faster, it seems like.
Well, I appreciate hearing that, guys. And like I said, if anyone's looking for ice fishing equipment, you're not going to find a better deal anywhere else than the Ice Institute, November 8th through the 10th. Or, like I said, to learn more about how to use the equipment, check out the great speakers that we're going to have this weekend, that weekend as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Todd. We'll see you there.
Okay, sounds good, guys. Thanks so much.
See ya. And there he goes, Todd Heitkamp of Dakota Angler Bait Shop in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the man behind the Ice Institute. Very interesting to hear all the top pros that he's got coming this year.
It's shaping up to be just a great show. If you're interested in ice fishing, want to get into it, don't know much about it, definitely go check this show out because, those guys are so approachable too.
Yeah, definitely. And it's crazy. When you think of, aside from possibly Jason Mitchell, these are the top guys.
Oh yeah, when you got
Dave Gens,
Brad Hawthorne, it's just
bro.
I
couldn't believe that when they came out with all those guys. I'm gonna be fanboying over Dave Gens. I'm not even gonna lie.
I think everybody does. I think everybody would be surprised at how approachable he probably is.
Yeah.
Everybody will kind of sit back in the shadows and just kind of watch and be like, "Well, that's Dave Gens." And
right. I don't think that these people are like NFL players where
right. They're not. These people aren't. But to us,
they
definitely
are. Definitely.
A lot of like fishermen, or anglers, they are. It's like that's Vince Lombardi right there.
Right. When you're watching YouTube or when you're watching TV on Saturday and Sunday mornings and watching the outdoor channels and the fishing shows come on, these are the guys that are on there. Mm-hmm. And that way cool. And how interesting was it that it's grown from 50 people to 6,500 people?
Yeah, that's
think about if his wife was still making food for everybody. Holy moly.
That'd be a lot of barbecue meat.
Oh yeah. If I'm showing up, you better plan for 7,500, not 6,500. But no, that is...
It really is neat to hear that, like you said, that it started off in just a little building next to his bait shop, and then they moved it to a little town hall in Colton, South Dakota, and then the church gym, and now all of a sudden you're at the arena in Sioux Falls.
Right. what is there, only one spot bigger? You know, he could have
Right.
it in the actual Denny Sanford new Premier Center, but
Right. And then
I mean,
for him to be the second biggest ice,
that
show is
that's what
neat.
blew me away. You know, I knew the St. Paul Ice Show was huge, but I figured like, you know, the Fargo Ice Show and whatnot was bigger. I've never been up there to the Fargo Ice Show, but yeah, to hear that was the second biggest one in the country, that's amazing.
Well, you really think about it, just this little area right here with the lakes over here. Iowa ice fishing is starting to get more popular, you know, with Clear Lake, with Kevin Paul over there, and the Iowa Great Lakes, Okoboji, Spirit Lake. It's all starting to get popular. Then you've got all your Minnesota lakes, and now people are starting to realize like how great fishing are in the Dakotas.
Oh yeah.
And so it's kind of becoming the place to get to, and you're getting people traveling from a long ways away to come to this one. And like you said, the deals at the show are so great that if you plan on buying some stuff, now's the time to do it, because they'll have deals on shacks, they'll have deals on augers, rods, reels, tackle, everything. At most of these places, you go up to them, and I think last year Ramsey bought a ice shack and got a free cover with it.
Yep.
So it's always, it's like $75 to $100 the cover is. So
Well, and it was less than retail price too.
right,
I
yeah,
believe,
it was
you
a
can
great price on the shack.
Yeah, if you're going to make a big ticket purchase, I don't think it's out of line to think that you're going to get 20% off, on
Right.
some of these things. And I'll be buying an ice shack this year.
Yeah, and and if you're looking into, you can buy a sleeper shack. You can spend as much money as you want. 4-wheelers. They have all that stuff there, that anything that you need for ice fishing.
Yep. One of the other things that I think we should really stress is if you're a guy and you're like, man, I don't know if I should be bringing my kids. You should be bringing your
should be
kids.
bringing your
I mean,
kids.
your kids are going to have a riot with this. I mean,
Right.
they've got all sorts of cool stuff. This is a really family-friendly deal. You don't have to be the guy that goes out ice fishing 30 times a winter. I mean, if you're a guy who, hey, you get out once, twice a year,
Yep.
you're still going to get a lot out of this. And yeah, they're different custom rod makers, all the top brands as far as shacks go. If there's a brand in the ice fishing industry and you can think it in your head, chances are it's going to be there.
More than likely, yeah.
What did he say? 75 vendors?
Something like that. So, yeah, like you said, you don't have to be, this isn't for the hardcore fishermen. This is for everybody.
Yep.
Get out there and check it out. $5 to get in
Yeah, you can't beat that.
for a day.
Yeah, right. You can't do anything in Sioux Falls for under $5.
No, anywhere. Yeah, $5 for admission, and then $12 for the weekend pass. Is that what he said?
Yep. That's cool that they're doing that.
Yeah, that's a really neat feature this year.
Yep. Well, last weekend in the snow, me and Matt finished up our club bass tournament season. Yeah, it was a fun tournament.
The Iowa Great Lakes Bass Club.
Yep. Saturday we fished in the snow. What did it get to, a whopping 34 degrees that day?
If that.
Yeah.
And we had 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Oh my gosh.
and It was crazy. I'm glad that they decided to not do a points day for that.
Not me.
Well, yeah, not you. You
Not me.
you had a decent day.
Yeah, well, I finished. I weighed a limit, and I know that two of the guys who were ahead of me did not. So I could have gained some points there, but yeah, it was tough fishing. Both the days really. In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't like we were calling early and
No. With conditions like that, the fish react different ways. Kobe brought in, on Sunday, Kobe Van Beek, he
Jesus.
brought in a great bag of smallmouth.
Holy moly.
12 pounds. He had one that was 5 pounds, another one that was like 4 pounds, so.
that was impressive. But he's a frickin' hammer. So.
Oh, that's for sure.
But no, yeah. Well, and another part of that, like you mentioned, with the 40-mile-per-hour winds, the lakes basically got cut in half.
Right, yeah. It was limited to areas you could fish. Even on Sunday, fishing on Spirit Lake, even though the wind was down a little bit, it was still 15, 20 miles per hour. And, when it's blowing like that on Spirit Lake, it can get pretty rough out there. And, I heard a lot of guys talking about how it was tough to fish the east shoreline because it was kind of a northwest wind. And just boat control becomes a big problem there.
Right. Well, and we dealt with that on Sunday morning when
Right.
we ran across the lake. We were out there, and when you're running a drop shot like what we were, and that boat's going up and down, and I'm staring at the water, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy smokes, am I going to get seasick today? Like, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it, and it wasn't long after that you're like, you know what, let's get out of here, let's go back to the other side. And, you know, we kind of thought that we had a pattern in mind.
Right.
And
it started off working.
Yeah, you caught one, second cast? And
yeah, then I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll get into some here. I mean, they weren't big fish, but then all of a sudden you just kind of did something out of the ordinary, which as a co-angler, which a person should do. Just sometimes it's like, you know what, just fire a cast out towards the middle of the lake, and you caught a smallmouth, and a little bit later you caught another one, and you no more, we got it in the boat and in the net, you were taking it off the line, and I hooked into one. So it's just like, oh, okay, maybe there's, you know, then that's just where you got to listen to the fish and let the fish talk to you, instead of like, oh, there's no reason they should be out there. Well, they just told us that they're out there. So
yeah, there was no reason to catch them where we did on what we did.
Yeah.
But we did, and yeah, no one, I don't know, that's just really the cool part about it. And you know, I'm not sitting here trying to toot my own horn, but we have had that a few different times this year where I just did something completely off the wall that didn't make any sense, and it was like, hey, wait a second, like,
right?
Hey, here we go.
And I think that's what our best thing was this year for both of us, is just being able to adapt and, you know, fish the moment. Don't try to like, well, this is the pattern that should be working, so we're just going to run this pattern the whole time, and it's just like, well, nope, we're catching them this way, so you know, this is what we're doing for right now. And
right. You know, I listen to a lot of guys after a Bassmaster tournament talk about going out there and saying, I knew I wasn't going to get a lot of bites, but I was going to get the right bites.
Right.
And, you know, especially on Sunday, that was really what we did. You know, I didn't call it all. I caught 3 fish, and those 3 fish I brought to the scales. You know, you called 2-3 times or something like that, but I mean that was really crazy to grind it out for 8 straight hours or 9 hours or however long we're out there, and we're not smoking a ton of them, but the ones we're getting are quality fish. I ended up with a 3rd place finish. You ended up with a 4th place finish, and you know, I mean, I feel like we can hold our head up at the weigh-ins. You know, with days like that. The bad part about that was you went into this week or last weekend 0.4 in the lead for Angler of the Year, and you ended up with that 4th place finish dropping down, and you ended up losing it by 0.2.
2 points, yeah. But you know, that's just the way it all goes. The guy that ended up, Jerry Pape, that ended up beating me, he was in 3rd going into the final day of our Angler of the Year standings, and he finished in 3rd in that tournament, and I finished in 4th, and he had like 9 pounds, 9.96 pounds, and I had 9.6 pounds, and, you know.
Yeah, 3 ounces, or 0.3 pounds is what he beat you by, and then you ended up losing by 0.2.
Yeah, and all the points, I mean, Tanner Hamalou, he, I think he sat in his truck for about an hour trying to figure out the points. I think he did it like 2 or 3 times just to make sure everything was right. I mean, I couldn't do no way with all the math and all that stuff trying to figure it out, even though, yeah.
Well, yeah, there's quite a criteria that goes into it. How many fish you weigh, what position you weigh, the weight of all your fish. You know, it's not just like, well, winner gets 10 points, second place gets 8 points. I mean, there's a real formula that goes into it. So it's not an easy deal. But so, I mean, thanks for the guys that run the club over there. It was a lot of fun to fish it this year. Thanks for all the guys that fish in the club that we've been able to meet over this year. I mean, it's kind of fun knowing that you can go over to a lake and you see those guys and you can sit there and talk with them at the ramp or out on the water if you run into each other. So, great club, great group of guys to fish with. Both sides of the boater and the non-boater, you know, the angler, the co-angler, just a great group of people to be a part of. And would have been nice to win the Angler of the Year thing, yeah, for sure. But I guess if I was going to lose it to anybody, it would be, you know, Jerry's an awesome guy, and congrats to him on winning that and just being consistent the whole year. I mean, those guys are hammers over there. Oh yeah, they know the lake.
Between him,
no doubt about it.
Mark, and you know, Colby's up there, just all those guys. I mean, anybody can any day anybody can get on them and have a great day over on the lakes over there. So yeah, I mean, it was your first year kind of fishing. It was my first year
fishing the whole thing.
Fishing the whole thing. I mean, I missed one in July for family vacation, and they take your top 5 tournaments and they throw out 2. So it was a lot of fun. And you know, on Sunday after I caught my 3rd keeper, and I told you, I was like, that was my goal this year going into it. I kind of, you know, you always kind of have like these goals set, and I wanted to catch a limit in every tournament.
Yep.
And when I finally did that, I mean, it was kind of fun just to be able to say that you did it, and it just being consistent. So
Right. Yeah. You got to catch a limit if you want to win.
Right.
Over there against those guys, you're not gonna. You know, you can go out and smash them like Colby did. You know, with 5-pounders, but if you only got 1 or 2, you know, you still ain't gonna do it.
Right.
So.
Yeah. You always got to be right up there in that 10-pound range for sure every tournament. And on 3 fish, that's some solid quality fish right there.
Absolutely. So, well, unless you got something else to add, we'll call that a wrap on episode 44. And
Episode 44.
yeah,
We're getting closer to, like we said, ice season. Fall weather's getting here. I mean, there's still great fishing to be had. I mean, river looks like it's going down a little bit.
Yeah, I've been seeing some people down there fishing. I'd be curious to see how many people are out on Okoboji still fishing now.
Right.
I mean,
there's a bunch of guys.
I'm
yesterday.
sure there's some, but I've seen a lot of people on Facebook taking their boat out for the year.
Yep.
You know, putting posts on, you know, saying see ya for the year, and whatever. Yeah, that's part of it. We're at the end of October. Any day now we could get a monster snowstorm, and snow don't really make a difference for out there, but they'll be taking the docks out at the boat ramps and everything else. So yeah, that's all part of it. That's living here in Northwest Iowa. So
Yep. Don't like the weather today. Wait for a few hours and it'll change.
yeah, no kidding. So yeah, well, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.